Massive warning. This video is going to trigger some people and it's going to make people very irritated. But if you could pay attention throughout the whole video and really listen with discernment what I'm about to say, I promise you, you will get something out of this video. But what I'm here to do is I'm here to give you the facts, figures, numbers, logic, and how I've been able to predict what's going to happen in 2021, 2022, 2023, all the way up to 2025 to Ripple becoming a bank, to Coinbase eventually becoming a bank, to Kraken becoming a bank, and sharing with you that banks will eventually be able to custody your crypto, which now they're allowed to in 2025, is because of history. It's not about being clairvoyant. If you understand that everything that is happening has repeated itself in humanity over and over and over again, and you can learn to take the middle ground and be non-emotional, you'll stop getting played by the system. So on Monday, this is a part that's going to trigger some people. On Monday, everything hit the fan. There's nothing in the files. Tape is good. There's a minute missing in the tape, and everybody gets distracted, and that's all they're focused on. P. Diddy, that part, guys, they got us drunk in the Coliseum. You're shocked that politicians aren't being open and honest? You're shocked about that? And I know it's frustrating, but here's the thing. I've been showing you Ray Dalio's Changing World Order since 2020. And if you have not studied Ray Dalio's books, The Big Debt Crisis, The Changing World Order, where he goes deep in the facts, figures, numbers, logic, and helps you understand that a new world order is coming in. And it's so accurate, it's going to make your stomach turn, what I'm about to show you. I want you to get your pen and paper out and pay attention. Guys, they got us drunk in the Coliseum. And you're going to wake up in 2030. The World Economic Forum says you're going to own nothing and be happy. But let me give you a sick fact that's going to make you upset. Is Americans own nothing right now, and they're pissed off. Americans don't ever pay off their homes anymore. They're buried in debt. We're in a debt-based society. They don't pay off their cars anymore because we're materialistic, okay? We don't pay off our phones because the new iPhones come out and we get a new one. So most Americans own nothing and they're miserable. So World Economic Forum says you're going to own nothing and be happy. We're heading into a rental-based society because 10% of the population owns almost the whole market. 50% of the US population is in debt. They don't even have investments. And if you look up how much the average American retires with, it'll make you sick. You need $1 million at 4% to get $40,000 in retirement income. So you're probably watching this long enough. If you're here right here now, you are the generational shifter in your family. And it says in the Bible, grab onto that plow and look forward. Don't look left. Don't look right. Look forward and plow forward. It is time to put your blinders on. Okay, say the Epstein files dropped on Monday. What would that change in your paradigm? What would you do differently? Would it change your life? Would it change your discipline? Would it change your consistency? They didn't drop the files. They lied to you. Okay, and you're shocked that politicians lied to you? It's the same game over and over and over again. But what will never change is what you do with your 24 hours. What will never change is what your algorithm is on your phone. What will never change is the things that you're studying on a daily basis. And what will never change is that the 1% will always remain the 1%. Cash is trash. You are buried in a monetary system that has you trapped in a debt-based society. And if you don't learn from this day today to 2029 how to get on the asset equation out of the debt side equation, because the dollar is debt, it's just debt, and they're about to turn the printing machine on full blast and lower interest rates. And go look, do your studying. Who became wealthier from 2020 to 2022? Was it you? Was the American public? Or was it all the people sitting there at the inauguration? Go do your research. Think about this. You have to understand they're going to lower interest rates. They're going to print the shit out of this money. Now, do you see why 95% of the supply of Bitcoin is gone? 5% is left. And the US government now has a Bitcoin strategic reserve, and countries around the world are going to follow suit. Now, do you see why 95% of the public does not have exposure to crypto? Because they told you to look this way as they were changing the whole narrative this way. So now you wake up in 2025, Trump is making us a crypto capital of the world when he told you last presidency that he was a dollar guy. He's not about crypto. And then the video I showed you last Monday is he said, I've been buying it for 3 years. Isn't that when BlackRock got involved and became the largest holder in Bitcoin, number 2 outside of Satoshi? You got Strategy B, which BlackRock is a top 3 holder in Strategy B. You got Grayscale in America, the top 4 holders in Bitcoin. It's just logic, guys. Take the emotion out of this. We are so drunk in the Coliseum. And somebody got so upset at me when I posted that on Twitter. I'm like, I don't trust in man. I trust in God. God will take care of those people. Okay. God didn't create the devil. Lucifer was an angel. He gave us free will and we created the darkness. We keep feeding into it. So what I'm about to show you is hopefully you'll stop feeding into it and you'll start feeding into your soul, positivity, optimism, discipline, consistency, financial literacy, and you will become the generation shifter in your family. So if you made it this far, you are a true warrior. Comment warrior down below, and let's take a deep dive through this. This is Ray Dalio's Changing World Order. And I'm going to show you how Bitcoin and XRP, Ripple the company, are going to dominate the new financial system. It's clear. Bitcoin is the new gold, okay, for the new 100-year system. Okay, you're literally at the point right now where you're part of the new financial system and able to invest in it for the next 100 years. Let that sink in, okay? XRP is the new bridge currency for the new world. So this is Ray Dalio's Changing World Order. It is so accurate. Okay, this is the fall and rise of superpowers. Okay, so let's take a look. When it starts to get to the top, okay, companies become a country's company. that's accurate. US as a company becomes less productive. Hence what's going on. Epstein files, do your research. Less productive, overextended. America's overextended. They start losing their competitiveness. We were losing all of our competitiveness. Wealth gaps are massive in America. Massive. Okay. Large debts. We have more debt than we have income. Okay. Printing of money. They printed more money than in history from 2020 to 2022, and they're about to make that look like child's play when they lower these interest rates with the big better bill. Internal conflict. Interesting. It was the left and right, and I'm going to go into civil war and revolution in just a moment. Loss of reserve currency. We're starting to lose our value. The most dominant currency in the world, the American dollar, has lost 99% of its value. So now that's why the Stablecoin Act is very important, the Genius Act, because that's going to stabilize the dollar for a lot longer. Now, we're not going to lose the reserve currency for a long time, but it is transitioning into a new monetary system. Trump wants a weaker dollar. Weak leadership. Okay. I think Trump is a strong leader, but what's happening next? Listen to this. Civil war and revolution. So now within MAGA is turning against each other now. And guess what's happening? It happens every single time. A brand new world order comes in. And I'm going to break down what it is. I'm going to keep you focused on the financial side. That's my expertise. Okay. I'm not going to get into the politics and all that stuff. That's not my lane. Much more educated people around that. What I understand is how money moves. I came from the banking system. I understand how banks scale. I went to CBA Executive Banking School. I understand payment systems. I can tell you from my heart to yours, the system is going to be completely different. And the things we're invested in is the infrastructure of the new system. So we're going to listen to Senator Elizabeth Warren, who literally tells you how wealthy Trump is and how dedicated he is to Bitcoin and to cryptocurrency. Now, I know she's trying to, she's talking shit. She does not like Trump. She's the one that has flooded people out of Bitcoin. But check this out.
But nobody wants weak crypto rules more than the President of the United States. A majority of President Trump's wealth, as much as $7 billion worth, is now based in crypto, from issuing his own stable coin to issuing his own meme coin to owning a Bitcoin mining company and to controlling a huge portfolio of crypto investments.
Okay. So she literally just told you how rich, and now she doesn't know what the hell she's talking about. He doesn't have a mining company, but Bitcoin mining, but he does have a shitload of crypto. Okay. So think about this. The president of the United States has 7 billion in crypto from what she's saying, right? So why do you still believe it's not going to be here? Why do you still believe Bitcoin's going to zero? Think about this for just a moment. Why do you think he wants a weaker dollar? Why do you think he wants to print and lower interest rates? Because their bags are packed. This happens every single time. Lower interest rates, he's deep in real estate. He's passing this big family wealth down to his kids now. Okay. BlackRock is a number 2 holder in Bitcoin. Okay, so this guy's sitting right next to Senator Elizabeth Warren. But listen to what Mr. Scott has to say around crypto being here to stay.
Because make no mistake, blockchain technology and digital assets are not going away. They are here to stay.
Okay, so we know they're here to stay. So now how are you going to navigate through this? So this is Brad Garlinghouse. So just some short clips of him testifying. I wanted to hear this, and then I'm going to show you obviously a picture that, what does they say? A picture is 1,000 words. So we'll look at that picture, and then I'll share with you how I've navigated this, how we built wealth inside of crypto, and how we built wealth outside of crypto.
Ripple was the tip of the spear for this regulation by enforcement campaign and was subject to an enforcement action in 2020. We were the first leading U.S. company to be sued by the SEC. We and many others understood that a loss here would be a death knell for the industry. Fortunately, after 4 years of a hard-fought legal battle, we prevailed. The court ruled in our favor on everything that mattered, including finding that the token Xrp is not, in and of itself, a security. Our victory cleared the path for other market participants to fight back. Despite these headwinds, Ripple still prioritizes education and engagement with policymakers and regulators globally. For companies to have the confidence to continue.
I don't know what just happened there. Cool. We'll keep moving here. One more short clip from Brad Garlinghouse, and then I will go into my analysis of what I believe is happening.
Mr. Garlinghouse, I'd like to just kind of turn to you. I mean, I just wanted to just get your thoughts on this. I mean, do you acknowledge what Mr. Levin's saying in terms of the illicit actors, the bad actors being able to utilize crypto right now? And, you know, I certainly appreciate the efforts that your company has made in terms of AML, but, you know, we're still seeing these problems. Is that something that you see and recognize as well?
Ripple has always been a compliance-first company, and as I said in my early testimony, we have over 60 licenses around the world. That being said, I think anytime you see bad actors, they're looking for, as Mr. Levin said, whatever the easiest path is. They use cash, they use other assets. I've even read about them using gold.
Yeah.
So certainly they're also experimenting and trying to use digital assets. I think the good news has been, in many cases, they don't often understand how traceable and trackable that actually is. And it's more trackable than obviously cash.
Okay. So I want you to just look at this picture, right? We know that Brad Garlinghouse and Stuart Aldrey, right, the chief legal officer for Ripple, were hanging out at the White House. Brad Garlinghouse, I'm gonna get this a little bigger for you guys. There you go. Brad Garlinghouse was just sitting in front of the bank Senate committee. Ripple was sued by the SEC, and it lasted 5 years. All of a sudden, it settled, like just recently, right before ISO goes live. Bitcoin was created in 2009 when Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa created BRICS, and their mission was to de-dollarize. As we landed in 2025, Satoshi, we still don't know who Satoshi is. BlackRock is the number 2 holder in Bitcoin. That's a $10 trillion asset manager. That's bigger than most countries' GDPs. It was balanced, that was tapped by the Federal Reserve in 2008 and 2020 to balance out the market. So Larry Fink's team is now the number 2 holder in Bitcoin. Next is Strategy B, which went from a software company, MicroStrategies, to a crypto company, Bitcoin Treasury, from 2020 to 2025. BlackRock is the number 3 holder. Vanguard is up in the top 2. You got Grayscale and you got America. Now Bitcoin is being used as a Bitcoin strategic reserve in order to help shrink the balance sheet of America. Brad Garlinghouse is sitting in the front of the bank Senate committee. Think about this for just a moment, guys. Remember, Jay Clayton, these are things we haven't talked about Jay Clayton in a long time. Remember, he sits on the bank bail-in committee. Jay Clayton was the one that initiated the case against Ripple, sued the SEC. SEC sued. He was the one that initiated, then bounced Don't forget this stuff, guys. You guys forget. It's like the Men in Black, ding, and all your memories disappear. Jay Clayton is the one who initiated the case against Ripple and XRP being a security. 3 days later, he left to consult for a cryptocurrency company. I think it's One River that increased their position in Bitcoin and Ethereum months before he went to consult for them. And now he sits on the board for the bank bail-in committee. Your banks are in a liquidity crisis. America is in a liquidity crisis. The world is in a liquidity crisis. China is 300% debt to income ratio. America's at 120% debt to income ratio. And they're about to turn the printing machine on full blast and lower interest rates. So you're either going to be on the debt side, which the dollar is debt. So if you're holding a bunch of cash in your bank account, you're literally holding debt. So you take your money and you store it in a bank. They dam it up. That's what a bank does to a river. They dam it up and they take your money and they make it current. If we paid off every single dollar in the United States, all the debt, our monetary system would collapse. The reason why it survives is because you stay in debt. The reason why it survives is because they keep giving you 72-month auto loans. The reason why it survives is because we want to keep up with the Joneses. We keep buying bigger houses. And the reason why it survives, they manipulate us through interest rates, inflation, taxation, right? They lower taxes and then they raise it just goes back and forth, guys. So here's what's about to happen. They're going to lower interest rates. A bunch of money is going to flood into the economy. Housing market's going to boom. The stock market's going to boom. Crypto's going to boom on the back end of this year. The economy is going to pump. And everybody's going to forget about Epstein. Everybody's going to forget about P. Diddy, right? Because we're all like a wave of energy. But here's the thing. In nature, there's nothing that's in a straight line. Everything has a wave of energy. So it's going to be booming, booming, booming. People are going to have cash and more money, more money, more money, new houses, bigger things, bigger iPhones. The economy is going to boom. But eventually, if you print in a lower interest rate environment, you end up with inflation. Once again, just like they did in Biden's term, we got 19% of cumulative inflation. They had to raise interest rates to cool inflation. It's the same model. It's the same model. So they're going to slowly transition the US dollar into an asset-backed currency once again. You're going to go into, on 2030 and beyond, you're going to go into a new asset-backed currency in a digital currency type of way. Bitcoin will be the new gold. XRP will be a bridge currency. Things like XLM are going to be here. Things like HBAR, things like Solana, things like QNT, Quant, ADA. Trump has mentioned the cryptos have been in our portfolio. If you've been in our academy since 2020, he mentioned Bitcoin. He mentioned Ethereum. He mentioned Solana. I sold all my Ethereum for Solana. You shouldn't do that. I just did it for my own personal reasons. Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana. He mentioned ADA. He mentioned XRP. And one thing too, it's funny. Like people are like, "Oh my God, only 2%." It's considered a blue chip crypto. Think about this. Bitcoin responded completely decoupled from the S&P. When things started coming down, Bitcoin held its value and asset managers were like, wait a minute, this is weird. Now you see why the largest asset managers in the world are now getting involved in Bitcoin. Now do you see why 95% of the supply is gone and 95% of the public doesn't have exposure? Who owns it? The elites. They own it, guys. Who's Satoshi? What do you think? Who do you think Satoshi is? Do you think the largest asset manager in the world is going to go all in and be the number 2 holder in Bitcoin if they don't know who Satoshi is? Do you think that MicroStrategy, Strategy B, is going to go all in and bank their whole company? His whole company relies off Bitcoin now. Okay. Did you see Michael Saylor's face when Scottie Pippen said he knew who Satoshi was? He had met Satoshi. Did you guys see that interview? And I've got to see Michael Saylor speak. I was like 10 feet from him at the Bitcoin conference. He's a smart dude, man. He's a smart dude. And think about that. It's just logic, right? They don't know who Satoshi is, but they're going to go on. Trump's going to go all in on Bitcoin, a Bitcoin strategic reserve, but you don't know who created it. This kind of seems kind of fishy to me, right? But just like the Epstein files, guys, you guys were waiting and waiting, and now you're disappointed because they didn't show up. There's a whole different game that they're playing that you're not seeing. The Wizard of Oz, they went down the trail, and then they got there. They pulled the curtain back. They're like, oh, fuck. Oh, shit, we got played. It's the same thing, family. And it's going to be the same thing in humanity over and over and over again until you realize, like Jesus said, pick up your mat and walk. He didn't do any magical waves or vain repetition. He walked up and said, what are you doing? What are you doing? He said, Master Rabboni. I'm paraphrasing the story. He's like, that fountain there. You see that fountain? You see that president? You see that thing right there? They told me that these angels blessed it. And if I touch it first, then I'm going to be healed. He's like, bro, you're paralyzed, man. People keep jumping over me. It's like, they're lying to you. Pick up your mat and walk. He didn't do any Reiki's, magical, spells on him. The dude picked up his mat and walked. And the people in the robes were like, uh-oh, uh-oh. That's why we can't keep Jesus Christ's name out of our mouth. He is the way, the truth, and the life. These are just asset classes, man. There's just a new wave of energy. Things are transmuting. Unfortunately, humans won't. You can't go to a human and be like, hey, you're going to move in a new system. Problem. They create a problem. They create a reaction to people. The same person that created a problem created a solution. That's what narcissists do. That's the game, guys. That's what's happening. So get your shit together. Tune in. Get disciplined. Start a fasting protocol. Exercise. Read the Bible. Get your family tight. Build a system. Put blinders on. You got this, man. Okay. So I know that was a long wave of energy to get to what I do. So I actually, you know what? I'll direct you guys. I'll put it right down here. So go to my education section. I break down everything I do. I break down my ecosystem, everything. If you need further additional support outside the free education, we have the 3T Warrior Academy, description of this video, or my social media platform. We teach you how to fish, portfolios. We show you everything. We don't tell you what to invest in. We literally show you what we do. Okay. I also teach people about cash value life insurance, how to properly set these up and how to properly fund them to create legacy, family bank, and to borrow against tax-free, and how I use leverage to buy more assets, richest man in Babylon. I have an elite team. It's my own insurance company that understands how to set these up properly and fund them properly. That's the key. A lot of people are driving Lamborghinis with regular gas in it. Down below, you'll see that in the description of this video or my social media platform. It's Freedom Insurance. That is my team. That is my company. I will be happy to help you, and we'd love to have you as a client to help support you with retirement strategies. So I think that's all I got. So thank you for allowing me just to speak my truth. And, the intensity is picking up, because it's like, I can't just, sit back and be tethered. I can't do it anymore. I refuse to, man. I've been holding back in regards to truly how I feel. And, it's just time, man. It's time to just unleash. And, I may lose followers doing this, but that's okay. Someone told me one time, I'll never forget this the rest of my life. I came back from Peru and I started to want to express my love for God and Jesus Christ on my social. And somebody, I'll never mention who it is because it's I don't want to call them out, but it was an influencer that I was starting to come up in the space and whatever. And they were like, man, you need to start. I started talking about Jesus and putting my prayers, and like, hey, that's going to ruin your business. I said, it's none of my effing business, man. If it ruins my business, then it's none of my effing business. It's just that God is everything to me. Number one, my family knows God is number one to me. Family's number two. It's God, family, protect your ecosystem at all costs. And I stay out of other men's business. I'm too busy working on mine. I don't listen to bullshit. I don't feed into bullshit. I don't feed into drama. I don't feed into rumors. I don't hang around with people that don't protect me in rooms I'm not in. Done. I operate off a principle model. I run my decisions through a principle model. If anything, people, places, things do not fall in line with the principles, it's a hard no. Boundaries. So I love you guys. I'm on one, man. Let's get after it. Warriors! Let's get your shit together. Let's go.